attached and about attachment style, I developed an anxious attachment style. My mom was often busy, often gone. It wasn't through her fault or anyone's, but that's just the style that developed. And what I'd do when I met partners or friends, they'd do one thing wrong and I'd react. I'd run away somewhere, be like, fine, don't talk to me. And when I hear people or people I speak with or on my TikTok or clients, I'll be like, yeah, but that's genuine me. That's how I feel. I need to let them know that's how I feel. And I'm like, but wait, stop. Is that getting you to how, do the people then listen to you when you react like that? Does everyone come around you and go, oh my God, Amanda, are you okay? Like, what's happening? No, they don't. They get scared by it and they go away. You're not getting the reaction that you want. You're not communicating your true self. You're just having a reaction. So that's not you. And when I got that through my head, I was like, oh my gosh. So, wow, that's just a reactivity and attachment style as opposed to any authentic self that I'm thinking I'm communicating.
Yeah. And that is a very liberating feeling, isn't it? Because all of a sudden we realize that we actually have creative control on how things are going to unfold. Yeah, you're good.
Sorry, repeat that.
You're good. Totally.
My son gives me daycare colds.
Oh,
thank you, Leah.
Take your time. I'm also so curious to know about I know you were young, but your transition coming over from the Soviet Union into the UK, is that right?
Yeah, into London.
Into London. And do you remember much about that? What was that like?
Do you know what? I now understand like children's resilience because I don't remember it, but I know I didn't speak the language for like 2 years. So where is that gap in my memory? I didn't even understand that I came to another country. Because when you're 5, you're in that mind space where you understand reality, but not completely. Like, I'm not sure if you have memories from when you're 5. You're not exactly 8 years old, and you're not 3 where you totally don't remember, but you don't understand the time space like continuum. You don't know it's a different country. You don't know people speak a different language. But I think it gave me a real sense of 2 things. Number one is individualism. Like, I literally say, if I could package this and give it to someone, I feel no peer pressure. I feel no sense of like, well, what if they don't like me? Okay. And I think that comes from just not even being able to control that when I was a child. Like, I couldn't even be liked if I wanted to because I didn't understand what they were saying. So you develop this like deep, you either drown in it or you develop a sense of individual self, which stays with you through life. So I think I got that. But it wasn't as traumatic as it sounds, but it definitely gives you a strange attachment style because you learn you're like by yourself, you're like an island.
That is fascinating to hear you talk about that, like how that instilled confidence without even needing to really work for it. Because I was going to ask you, like, what I find when I'm watching your videos and your content, you're talking a lot about relationships, of course, but what I really find in the depths of that when I watch you is like self-mastery, resilience, and like empowerment for women. It almost has nothing to do with men. When I hear you talk about relationships, it has everything to do with your worth, your self-worth, which is funny. Well, I mean, we'll talk about the press that came out too, because I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that too, about just
I went into coaching just before COVID started in 2019, and then I had a child in 2020. So I delved into that because I realized I had this grasp on confidence, self-drive, just like being in oneself, just because I developed it throughout life and just really worked hard at it. I was like, okay, so I want to learn more about this. And specifically for women, I don't know what it's like to be a man. Don't pretend to know. Maybe I'm closer to some men in personality than I would be to women, and that's fine. But I feel I can speak to women and really connect. And then I went on TikTok and I was like, let me just speak about it. And women seem to be interested in relationships because people come to things from a pain point. So right now he's ignoring you. Right now he's being this way. And you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. Let me just grab TikTok and maybe someone will help me. But essentially what the message is underneath isn't relationships. It's relationship with yourself. That's why when people say, oh, he's doing this thing and the other thing, he's looking at another woman, what do I do? The message I'm going to deliver isn't going to be leave him or don't leave him. That's not my business. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know where your livelihood comes from. I don't know how you feel. I don't know where your levels of your connection, self-perception, if you have children is. I cannot advise you that. I have not walked in your shoes. I don't know. But I know one thing, that before you make any decision, you need to completely build up who you truly are and then choose from there. That's why women write to me, but why didn't you say just leave him if he's looking at other women? Because I don't know if she should. But I know one thing, that she should see herself differently. And if he's looking at another woman, she shouldn't start crying, flip the table and run away, because that's not going to get her anywhere. Even if he leaves, you're going to always remember yourself as that crazy girl who went crazy. Who does that serve?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the point?
Such a good
You
point.
essentially, if you develop yourself into who you want to be, you're going to make the choices you want to make. I don't even have to tell you to make
Mhm.
those choices.
Yeah. And what I think your kind of holistic achievement here is that you're kind of unshakable no matter what comes at you, it seems like, or when anybody's in that place of confidence and groundedness. Like, I think it was funny to see, I think you just got a little press saying you're manipulating men, which you were able to make such a funny joke out of, because anybody
That's
that
funny.
understands you is like, "Yeah, please." But it was cool to see you be able to like make a joke and handle press like that and just be like, whatever, because you know who you are. So it kind
And
of
I also know
mirrors
the
a
nature of
relationship.
life. Like,
Mhm.
totally it does. And I know the nature of life. What is press doing? Trying to sell press. That's their job. They go
Mhm.
home. They're just people. The irony of the joke was I wasn't manipulating men, but perhaps the press got manipulated into writing it. But it also serves them because they get an article. Fantastic. Everybody wins. Look, if they wrote something about me that was more personal about my family, it would be not something I would enjoy or make a joke out of.
Mhm.
So, but with this, I don't feel I can be hurt by this. What people gonna, do you know how many men were writing to me like, how dare you manipulate men? I was like, oh my God,
Hmm.
Clive, whatever your name is, please stop. Just, you're looking silly at this point.
Well, the cool thing too is I bet a lot of women came to you and then get the blessing of receiving your message, which is like
Happened.
so important. So it's like win-win. Okay.
Yeah, we won. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm willing to have controversial titles put
Mhm.
on me if people get the message, and that's fine. I don't mind it.
Totally. Yeah, that was just a quickie that I thought was fun to bring up with you. But I want to ask you, what is something that you get asked a lot by your audience? Like, is there something that sticks out when you think of women writing to you in the comments or messaging you? What seems to be that big pain point that you're helping people navigate?
You know, the one that happens more than I ever thought. This is what came to my mind when you just asked the question. So it's not the biggest one, but it's the one that stumps me the most. Is when a woman is already with a partner, and it's not something dire like cheating, abuse, something like that. It's just something super banal and super annoying, like he doesn't take the trash out. And it's literally eating her alive. Like she cannot live, she cannot breathe, she cannot do anything. It's disrespectful in every aspect of the word. Women lose their mind like when I speak about something like this, because they're like, but he should, but he should. Do you know what I don't like? Should. If we're looking at the world and its reality, and people say, oh, well, if we're working equally now, then men should, take up half the housework. But they're not. Statistically, they're not. So what are we going to do? I want to save you your sanity. I also live with a man who's my husband. I am not the most orderly person in the world. I can easily let go if like my son is playing. I'm not going to walk around after him and pick things up. Why? Because I'm saving my sanity. I want to be the person who I want to be in the end. I don't want to be a micromanaging mother of my husband and child because I want things in a certain way. And what I try and communicate to the women is come out of this small situation and really look at it. Where has it gone wrong? Do we not know whose job it is? Is he really pathologically that disrespectful and insane where there would be 5 trash bags lining up outside your house? You have to burrow through them in order to get out, where he'd be like, I don't care. Like, where has it gone wrong? Have you married? Are you this goddess who's married to this monster and he's abusing you with this trash situation? Like, what's happening? Where's your communication breakdown? If he really can't do it, what is he doing? Where is the relationship not fair? We need to like really back it up and look at him as a human being and not as a competition of who does more, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems to get into the deeper layers of like there you can nitpick about anything. So it almost sounds like you got to figure out what battles, I guess, you want to pick, or what, again, what you're saying, like where are you going to lose your sanity or just hold your strength, and like what is worth your happiness? Does it really matter if the trash isn't getting taken out? But that seems the deeper layer there might be like, it seems like a feeling of disrespect from the partner.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate that when you're feeling like you're being disrespected, I guess?
You know, I had situations. I'm a human being. I have situations like this, and I like to model it on myself. Like what happened? My husband takes off his socks wherever he's standing, and there will be these two disrespectful socks everywhere. And it was for years. And I was like, why can't you just put them away? Why are you doing this? And he's like, I'm trying. And it was like this battle. And I was like, wait, stop. This cannot be happening. This is an intelligent person. I otherwise respect him in life. Why am I going on about his socks? And I just thought, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take liberties in other things. I'm not going to wash my car. I said, could you wash my car for me? For example, I can hear him washing the car downstairs. So it's an example. I'm going to save my sanity in other ways. I'm going to have my son, let's say, go to his grandparents for a day, which is my husband's parents, so I can do those chores. And I said to him, you know, the reason it's upsetting me is because I feel when you take them off, it's like, oh, she'll just pick them up. And the act of just bending down and picking them up is like a disrespectful thing to me. Do you know what happened when I stopped nagging him about them? Suddenly they're not around. Where are they? I freed up space to wash these socks, but they're now gone. It's almost like when you communicate to somebody on a real, authentic, non-reactive human level and be like, okay, I understand you cannot take out the rubbish. You cannot pick up these socks. I don't know what the reason is, but I respect you as a clever and intelligent human being. Let's swap tasks. I'll do something else. You do something else.
Yeah, that seems like such a logical way to move through that, because I remember in relationships, I'm single now, but like I would assume that my partner would be able to read my mind, and I would get really frustrated if he couldn't just read my mind. Like he should know. But it was always very helpful to just communicate, like you're saying, like this is, you know, ideally your best friend that you're talking to at the end of the day.
Exactly. And if a girlfriend that you were living with was acting like this, you wouldn't nag her. We just don't do that to friends. We go, oh, babe, like, I don't know, it's something that's happening. Like, what should we do? Like, this is upsetting. You know what I mean? Like, we work through it. And also, I don't mean to be, I always like to give women ownership, because when I have ownership, I feel like I can move through a situation. The amount of times that men go on at women for things that women don't do is a lot less than women do. I see that some things I do will annoy my husband, and he'll just see it and walk away. I don't know, maybe there's something to learn from men, because they are good at that. They're good at accepting you for who you are. Unless they're a controlling pathological person, men see you as who you are and are kind of good at accepting it.
Yeah. And this kind of brings us into a potential theme to talk about, which is, I might call it divine masculine or divine feminine, but the natural flow of feminine energy and masculine energy. And of course, we live in this fluid age where you can be, you know, whoever you want to be, but there is something integral to owning your feminine power and owning your masculine power, and where we have our needs met based on a really primal level. So can you touch on that a little bit about like masculine energy, feminine energy, and how to marry those two so that everything's kind of working?
I think men will often, or the masculine will often naturally rebel against another masculine telling him what to do. It happens in work, it happens in sport. And when a woman is in her maternal kind of dictating the home, you pick this up, you do this, bring this at this time. I said the bins need to be out by 7. That's a masculine energy of like very directional and forceful. And what the man will do is rebel, hence the socks, hence the rubbish. In a lot of situations, when you're in your feminine and you ask from a genuine place and you say, I'm genuinely tired, and or I genuinely don't know why you do this, and you just sit back and go, do you know what, it's going to be what it is, they step up. And it's such a hard place to navigate, because everyone is scared. Well, if I step back into my feminine, then he's going to fully take advantage of me. Well, I say this, don't you want to know if he will? Don't you want to know if you're living with Eric? I always give them names for practical purposes. If you really let go and you step back in your feminine and you go, sweetheart, I trust you to treat me the way that I deserve to be treated, without telling you constantly and nagging you and attacking you. Don't you want to see if he can step up? Or you're subscribing for a life full of managing a man. Maybe if you relax into your feminine and see what he's actually offering, one of two things will happen. He will step up and you will see wonderful things about him that you didn't even know. Or you will say, oh, wow, I was just liking his potential as opposed to who he actually is.
Huge. Oh my goodness. I love this. I was just remembering a conversation I was having with my dear friend yesterday. She was having a big conversation with her partner about, he has a trouble expressing his love for her. And she finally said to him, I need to know that you're choosing me on purpose. And I thought that was so powerful of her and so brave of her, because she opened up this potential to lose the relationship, to lose everything just by stating her needs. And I just really acknowledged her. I was like, that's you just in your power. Like, and exactly like you're saying, like the
Vulnerability
willingness,
is so powerful
right?
from a woman. My God,
Mhm. And it's
it's
like
so
so
powerful.
in our feminine, which is receiving. So I love the
Mhm,
example that you just gave, like saying, instead of nagging him, saying, I'm tired, because it seems to
mhm.
open up him to be able to take care of you and be a caretaker and fix the problem instead of being told
Yeah.
what to do.
And say,
Mm,
I'm struggling. I don't know why you're refusing to do this, and I'm not going to try and figure it out, but I'm going to leave it to you. And people say,
mhm.
oh, ultimatum. No, it's not. It's naturally saying that when the feminine isn't in flow, it will flow away from the situation. So I'm going to actually observe you now, and you're going to show me who you truly are. And then I'm not even going to make a decision about being with you or not. It's going to be made for me energetically.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause then you just become a match to the standard that you've set, and either he matches it or he doesn't.
Oh, but then he won't do anything. Well, okay, then
Mhm.
he's not for you. If he's not
Mm.
naturally wanting to do these things for you. But also, I always say to be careful with women, because sometimes how somebody serves you in your feminine is not necessarily how you might want to be served. Some men kill themselves at work, uh, thinking they're providing for the family, but that's not the partner you wanted. He might be perfect for somebody else. But sometimes I say, you know what, if you actually notice what he does, you can amplify it.
Mm.
If you go, oh, I see you've done that. I see you've done this. Wow. The role of feminine support is often misunderstood to me when you look at just male and female in the Carl Jung sense. The support of the feminine amplifies the masculine energy in a way that it can make you so much more successful in what you're doing. Like, I witness you, I see your masculinity, and I try and explain this on TikTok, but it's very hard because I probably need to do it in a more long format way. But the role of what we can give each other, this hideous "what do you bring to the table" scenario. Whenever anyone writes that, "what do you bring to the table?" I just write, "I bring pickles. Do you like pickles?" Because
Right.
what are we talking about? You
Mhm.
stupid people. um what we can only bring to the table, now that we've got this world that's hugely developed, we don't need a man to necessarily protect us physically, and we don't need a woman to cook our meal while we're out hunting. What we can give each other is the polarity, femininity and masculinity. So a man can cook for himself, right? Let's just use cooking as an example.
Mm.
He can go and get a takeaway. He can go out to a restaurant with his friends. But if you cook for him, you're adding femininity to it. And I'm just using that as an example. I know it's generic for women cooking, but let's just use it.
Mhm.
You could femininity, adding that to it is saying, sweetheart, what do you feel like eating? I know you like this. Let me make it for you. Do you want some water with that? And that feeling for him of like, oh my God, I've done something, and now she sees me and she's there for me, and vice versa, masculinity, you can take out the trash yourself. Come on, don't be ridiculous. But the fact that he's like, no, stay inside, it's cold, let me do it, is adding masculinity and purposefulness to your feminine.
Mm.
And it's just being that is what we can give each other from my
Mhm.
point of view. But
Can I ask you how you met your husband, and
Mhm.
how you guys have upheld like a relationship that feels so good?
um I'm not an easy person to be with. The reason I know all this stuff is because I've had